Good morning. Welcome to Morning Outlook. It's a rather late one and re reviewed one because apparently I had a bit of a sound problem earlier, but hopefully that's all sorted. Anyway, I shall record this and leave it for you. A bit more of a summary than anything else now. I was just looking at the markets. There's not a lot of risk events coming out today. Let's just go back and look at the calendar there. It's very little really, and it's real more about the speakers, the consumer sentiment. I don't expect that to create much volatility in the markets, but the speakers I do. So we've got a few speakers, mainly beyond my normal trading session at 3:15, 4 o'clock. I'm not going to be sitting there on a Friday trading that. It's particularly Friday the 13th. So there we go. Let's have a look at the charts, and I'll show you what I've been looking for this morning. It'll probably set up now. I've said it. We've walked away and left it because it's sort of the market running into the doldrums. Really quiet morning. Been looking at the euro. Oops. Click on here. Been looking at the euro. Would like to really catch a bit of continuation if it's going to be there. It started to move a little bit here. It was really looking as simple as the breakdown here for a short, but in terms of if you were targeting purely the yesterday's lows, well, there's not much in it, but the S1 sits in a better shape in terms of risk and reward, so there's some potential there. As I say, might just be slowing up. The pound, well, again, it's just slow this morning, very slow. It's an interesting time to do this video, just later after the volatility at the market. Well, you can see the last couple of hours there's barely been any volatility at all. We're in such tight ranges, like 30 pip. It's possibly not seen as tight, but the euro's been sitting in there in less than a 10 pip range for the last hour, I think. Dollar yen, so the pound remains bearish. Dollar yen at this moment, it looks like, well, we could be coming back up now, but it's a mess. Let's just go up the time frames and work our way down. Just looking at this, it's bounced off, or had a bounce off the monthly pivot there. Perhaps it's got more upside potential now. I mean, the thing is, the trend is up, and do I want to go against it on that bigger time frame? Not really. But do I want to be buying it? I have not traded the yen for a number of weeks now. It seems like a long time since I last traded the dollar yen. Mainly because you just get into these periods for, I mean, that's several days of, or a couple of days of doing best part of nothing. Looking at short time frames, maybe a break above that 60-minute 50 would give I mean, it's effectively a trend line across the top there that might give an opportunity on the longer side, but it has switched around a little bit this week, the yen, and regained a bit. Aussie dollar, lower highs, lower lows, still sort of reign. We've seen the same bounce here this morning as we've seen in most of the markets. Same sort of picture. It's through its pivot a little bit more, but just consolidating. Perhaps this afternoon, a sell below that pivot. If it starts moving below the pivot, it'll be a bit more interesting if it gets some volume through with it. The Canadian dollar, really, it has scope to gain a bit more of a strength into the Canadian dollar, but it's not really showing it too much. It's had a little bit of a move across there's the sort of Asian session there, but what it's doing here in this consolidation, well, it could just as well be at some point breaking up. Do I want to be doing anything from where it is at the moment? No, but it could be an either or, with a break back above this sort of 130.25 area. Could be a move back towards those highs. A break below the S1 on a Friday, well, it's probably quite risky, but there is the scope. But I'm not looking for swings on a Friday, so probably best left. Sometimes you can just watch things and leave them alone. I was asked about silver this morning. Haven't got a lot of silver data. What I was saying about silver this morning, and I'll talk about it again now, is it's really following gold largely. So there's some data missing on my silver here. There we go. It's moved some data, but we've at least got the last week and a bit, 2 weeks. But lower highs, lower lows. As I say, it's largely following gold. So I'll tend to stick looking at the gold side of things here, and follow the pattern. If silver starts diverging again, so it's quite unlikely really for long. And looking at gold then, well, let's come back to the dailies there. Downside trend. It's really not looking positive at all. It's all downside. Trades today, well, maybe this afternoon break of the lows there, but really don't like it. It's very bitty. Looking across other commodities, let's have a look at oil. I was wondering whether we'd get a bit more of a retrace on the oil side of things here, but realistically it's an easier buy than it is a sell. But looking through the time frames to see if there's anything, as I said earlier on, but you wouldn't have heard it, that we had the better opportunities yesterday as it started breaking through at 2 o'clock there. Best time for Western Texas, 2 o'clock, when the cash market opens, more movement. Where we're sitting at the moment though, it looks like it's just going to continue back to the upside, but it's not got a great target, but it may push into that daily R1 and maybe beyond, but leaving that for now anyway. 2 o'clock is the time that I would look to trade that. Let's look at the other markets there and start looking at Bitcoin, and you'll see the same. I was talking about it, in fact I won't talk about it too much, but Bitcoin catching a bounce here. It had, I will take this one out to the weekly picture, it had previously this week taken out those lows. It's also into its quarterly S1, that looks like. Is that even longer than that? It's a yearly S1 even. There we go. It's not even a quarterly at all. Just looking at the period that's over, it's already automatically goes. That is an annual. It's into its yearly S1 there. Okay, daily wise, well, it's still in the weak zone. Everything looks soft. We might get a bit more rally over the weekend with the markets being open, but with thinner volumes. I think it will just, if it does rally, it may just give people an opportunity to sell back in. At the moment, they're looking very soft. I've said it before, I'd rather be a buyer in the longer term, but not yet. So just sitting out of these, they're all pretty much the same. Okay, that's the crypto side of things. Finally, the indices are open, or open or closed. CSI 300, so the Hong Kong market there, it did end up up a tad, but still in a bearish zone, in a bearish market. The Nikkei, we're seeing the same happening with the DAX actually, in terms of it sitting in its channel. Maybe have some scope running into next week of running towards the upper side of the channel, which could be an opportunity to sell. Overall, I remain quite bearish on these. Nifty 50 already, it's sitting there. It's back. It gapped up this morning. It's up slightly on the day, but I know it's got a red bar here. It's a weirdness, but anyway, it's to me it just looks like it's got scope for further downside, but it's just getting into some of these trades. Let's just come to Europe next. So European market, the CAC having a bit of a rally today, as is the DAX. DAX here I just drawn on. We've just discussed this in the trading room a short while ago. Here we've got the scope of it pushing back towards the upper trend line there, and this is where the Nikkei could be following suit in terms of it's a very similar looking picture, but at the moment I'd be looking for the shorts, not necessarily today, but next week might fit in quite nicely. FTSE's moving up. It's recovered its losses from yesterday, mostly, and it still remains a bit of the darling, but it's still put a lower high, and it's still got the scope to roll over next week if we start seeing some selling. So, but there are easier selling opportunities, maybe looking across the pond to the American markets. Again, a bit of a rally going on. We'll see how much that develops into this later afternoon. It could give us opportunities to sell back in. Had the same thing yesterday, rallying at one part of the day and then just all of them selling off. Dow Jones not any different in terms of their retracements at the moment. Would like to see slightly more of a retrace even on the likes of the Nasdaq, maybe back up to this 1280 area. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to wish you great days and a great weekend. And yes, Ritu, it is a bit late today because it's my second one. The first one didn't have any sound on, so fortunately I've not been told the sound's not working this time. So there you go. Good morning, Michael. Right, I'm going to leave you to it. I wish you all a great weekend, and we'll see how things pan out today. But have a great weekend. Bye for now.